Hindus in the West are sometimes invited to give a talk explaining their religion at a local college, schoolroom, interfaith group, or even a Christian church. Some have confided to me that they do not feel qualified to give such a presentation. There is clearly a need for an authentic, non-academic introduction to Hinduism that can be presented with confidence on such occasions. I prepared this publisher's desk, drawn from our book, What is Hinduism?, as a broad summary of our faith that can be drawn upon to properly educate others in the basics of Hinduism, minus all the misconceptions and myths. You can get the text at the URL on screen. If you ask Google, what is Hinduism, you will get some 39,000 results. Many are from outsiders offering their best take. Many are from antagonists taking their best shot. Too few are knowledgeable. Fewer still are authentic. Rare is the answer that goes beyond parochial sectarian understandings. Scarcely any encompasses the huge gamut implied in the question. For these reasons alone, this introduction to Hinduism was inevitable. Hinduism Today magazine founder, Satguru Bodhinatha well understood the challenges that all religions face in today's world, whether from outside or within. He wrote that every religion consists of the spiritual precepts, practices, and customs of a people or society, transmitted from generation to generation, that maintain the connection with higher realms of consciousness, thus connecting man to God and keeping alive the highest ideals of culture and tradition. Gurudeva, as he was affectionately known, observed that if this transmission misses even one generation, a religion can be lost for all time, left to decay in the dusty libraries of history, anthropology, and archaeology. He strove to protect the religion he loved so dearly. He would ask rhetorically, where are the once prominent religions of the Babylonians, Egyptians, Aztecs, Mayans, American Indians, or Hawaiians? Little remains of them. Not long ago it was feared by some and hoped by many that Hinduism, the religion of 1 billion people, 1/6 of the human race living mostly in India, would meet the same fate. That it survived a history of religious conquest and extermination that wiped out virtually every other ancient religion is exceptional. Ironically, this noble faith, having withstood the ravages of invasion, plunder, and brutal domination by foreign invaders for over 1,000 years, stumbled into the 20th century to meet the subtler forces of secularism and the temptations of materialism. Christian propaganda, fabricated by 16th century Jesuit missionaries, empowered by the 19th century British Raj, and carried forth today by the Western and Indian media, had dealt heavy blows over the centuries to the subjugated, prideless Hindu identity. A typical Christian tactic was to demean the indigenous faith, impeaching it as rife with superstition, idolatry, antiquated values, archaic customs, and umpteen false gods. India's communist secular media stressed caste abuse and wretched social ills, branding as radical, communal, and fundamentalist all efforts to stand strong for anything Hindu. But an unexpected Hindu resurgence has burst forth across the globe in the last 20 years, driven in part by the Hindu diaspora and in part by India's newfound pride and influence. Hinduism entered the 21st century with fervent force as recent generations discovered its treasures and its relevance to their times. Hinduism is going digital, working on its faults and bolstering its strengths. Leaders are stepping forth. Parents are striving for ways to convey to their children the best of their faith to help them do better in school and live a fruitful life. Temples are coming up across the earth by the thousands. Communities are celebrating Hindu festivals, parading their deities in the streets of Paris, Berlin, Toronto, and Sydney in grand style without worrying that people might think them odd or pagan. Yoga is being universally practiced in all faith communities. Eloquent spokesmen are now representing Hinduism's billion followers at international peace conferences. interfaith gatherings, and discussions about Hindu rites. Hindu students in high schools and universities are going back to their traditions, turning to the gods in the temples, not because their parents say they should, but to satisfy their own inner need to improve their daily life, to fulfill their soul's call. When it comes time to explain our religion in any of these settings, we offer the following. A major reason why those new to Hinduism find it difficult to understand is its diversity. Hinduism is not a monolithic tradition. There isn't a one Hindu opinion on things, and there is no single spiritual authority to define matters for the faith. There are several different denominations, the four largest being Vaishnavism, Saivism, Shaktism, and Smartism. Further, there are numberless schools of thought, or sampradayas expressed in tens of thousands of guru lineages, or paramparas. Each is typically independent and self-contained in its authority. In a very real sense, this grand tradition can be defined and understood as 10,000 faiths gathered in harmony under a single umbrella called Hinduism, or Sanatana Dharma. The tendency to overlook this diversity is the common first step to a faulty perception of the religion. Most spiritual traditions are simpler, more unified, and unambiguous. All too often, despite its antiquity, its profound systems of thought, the beauty of its art and architecture, and the grace of its people, Hinduism remains a mystery. Twisted stereotypes abound that would relegate this richly complex, sophisticated, and spiritually rewarding tradition to little more than crude caricatures of snake charmers, cow worshippers, and yogis lying on beds of nails. Fortunately, there is an easier, more natural way to approach the vastness of Hinduism. From the countless living gurus, teachers, and pundits who offer clear guidance, most seekers choose a preceptor, study his teachings, embrace the sampradaya he propounds, and adopt the precepts and disciplines of his tradition. That is how the faith is followed in actual practice. Holy men and women, counted in the hundreds of thousands, are the ministers, the defenders of the faith, and the inspirers of the faithful.